I want to touch on this one thing I was watching. I saw this show called Dead to Me. It's on Netflix,
Oh, jeez.
and I can't talk about it for too long, but uh, I found out that it was created by like Will Ferrell and Adam McKay with the Anchorman crew.
Yeah.
If you're expecting it, it's absolutely nothing like Anchorman at all in any way. It's a 10-part series on Netflix. I'm assuming they're gonna try for another season. I'm gonna totally spoil it too, and I don't care. Um,
Spoiler warning.
yeah, spoiler warning. Whatever. Don't want to see this crappy show. So the premise is that there's a lady. There's a married couple, right? And they get something happens. The guy goes for a jog or something. Goes out at night. And he gets hit by a car and dies. The person that hits him, it's a lady and her husband, or her boyfriend. The lady ends up meeting the wife of the guy that died, and they have a friendship, and she lives in her house. And of course, she has this big secret that she killed her husband or whatever.
Huh.
It's supposed to be. I mean, it's labeled as a dark comedy. I wonder if people attribute the dark comedy moniker to things that just aren't that funny.
I feel like it's a cop out.
Yeah.
Because they could be like, oh, well, you just don't get it. It's too offensive for you. It's like, no, it's just not funny.
Yeah. Because this one didn't have like so much dark humor. Like when I think of dark comedies, I think of like Rushmore. I think The Big Lebowski is considered dark comedy, but things like the stuff doesn't necessarily always have to be dark. It's just the way that it's delivered is kind of realistic, dry, cutting, that kind of humor. And this one almost had like an Apatow feel from like 2007. You know, when he was always trying to get all the people to do improv. You remember all that? Or you got like Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill, and they're just riffing off of each other. That was kind of the humor that I got from a lot of it. Whenever they were trying to be funny, is you could kind of tell. It's like, all right, now be funny for the next 3 minutes, and then they just kind of stumble over each other. And like, for instance, they're talking about one of the characters, how he's hot and has a big dick. And then they just like go on for like seriously 2 minutes. Just going, it's so rare. Wow. I'll never find somebody like that. Wow. And it just kind of goes on and on. And there's certain actors that are really good at that. I think Will Arnett's really talented at that kind of riff where you can throw something semi-random out there and it's funny because of how like the twist that it takes to the conversation. But Christina Applegate, and then whatever that girl's name is that played Velma or whatever, I just don't think they have it. They just come across as really bitchy the whole time. So, it's like an emotional one of those, like it's supposed to be comedy or dark comedy, but it's really an emotional roller coaster, which I can never get behind. That's why I don't watch dramas. But it's such like a chick flick thing where everybody has really expensive houses, but it doesn't seem like they work. That's kind of my big complaint about all chick flick stuff. It really just irks me. It's like their entire day is spent just doing whatever they want, and then they go home to their mansion. Super bizarre.
Back to our mansion.
Such a chick flick thing. But the last couple of episodes, it really played its hand as like a political movie where it is bringing that message that white males are really bad.
They're the worst, actually.
Yeah, they're the worst. Desert Owner says he's heard that Netflix is losing subscribers. Maybe, but they're still super rich, so it probably doesn't matter that much. But like, so there's 3 white men that stand out in the show to me, and actually 4. We'll do 4. So the the husband, the one that dies, they kind of explore him during the show, and apparently he's just a big asshole who's been cheating on her the whole time. So there's that, and then there's the other lady's boyfriend, and he's played by James Marsden. I'm a big fan of his. I like him, and apparently he's an asshole. I didn't really get that. I mean, I got little snippets of him being a jerk, like not being super nice, but he wasn't horrible. And then at the end, this would be a big spoiler, is he gets...
Wait, so you watched the whole thing?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
How can you do that, though?
Well, because she was watching it, and I played Persona for a lot of it.
Oh. Got it.
And she... So basically, at the end, the wife of the guy that died killed the other girl's boyfriend.
Okay.
Because he knew about the accident the whole time. But the person that killed her husband was the other girl, and that everybody knew that at the end. So for some reason, they found it more interesting to just kill the other guy. Kind of like you killed my man, I'm gonna kill yours, I guess. It made absolutely no sense to me, and it just ends once that becomes apparent. But there's also a scene where she's trying to find the guy who hit her husband, and she finds out that this one guy has the car that matches, and she's a real estate agent, and she goes into his house saying like, "Oh, I can help sell your house," and the guy goes, "Okay." And then the guy's like, "You want a drink?" And then she goes, "Sure," and she starts drinking with him, and then gets into his car with him, and then realizes that it's not him because he hasn't actually driven this car yet. He's working on it. It's like a shop thing. And then she tries to get out of the car. He's like, "Oh, I'm done. I'm going to get out." And then starts jamming on the handle. And it's like an expensive car. And she can't get it because it's stuck. He reaches over trying to help her unstick it or whatever. And then she freaks out and punches him in the mouth. And then says, "No means no." And then storms off. Like, that's the end of the scene, and it never comes up ever again. It's super bizarre. It doesn't make... It's like... It's to me, it's just in there to get that message across of, like, women are strong, and men, white men specifically, are evil. Because the only other real man in the whole show is this black dude, who, by the way, acts totally like a white dude. And is super weak. He's got no flavor to him, and it's really awkward. Like, it seems to have a real agenda on it.
Well, I mean, things can have agendas on it. I think it's just more about how it's treated. Like, Captain Marvel had an agenda attached to it, as a good example, and it was very public. Like, they didn't even try and hide it. They weren't like, I mean, I guess it came out that way. They fucking knew.
Yeah.
But the thing is that in knowing that they had an agenda behind it, I expected them to respect the audience. I think that's what upset me.
About Captain Marvel?
Yeah, was that it was just like, have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So like there's two scenes I absolutely hated that pissed me off because they were so over the top and so on the nose that I was just upset. One was "I'm Just a Girl" playing. Not only is it not a good fight song really at all, but it's fucking obvious. Like, I get it, right? You don't have to go that far.
Yeah.
And then the second was, they call it the cockpit for a reason. That line, I visibly cringed in my seat. And I was just like, that is such a shitty fucking line. Because I don't care if you thought you're smart when you came up with it. It's about respecting the audience too. And imagine I'm a guy who likes film like I do now, but never found out that it was an agenda movie. That would just piss me off like so much more. Just being like, yeah, I fucking get it. She's a girl. Like, I get it. She's supposed to be a powerhouse. They are planning for the future. She is going to be the new sort of leader of the Avengers moving forward, right? Hopefully that's more organic, by the way, not just oh, you
is that
strongest.
something that you think like she's gonna be the leader of the Avengers?
Oh, Kevin Feige said it was.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I don't think in the comics if she did lead the Avengers, she didn't for long. A lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth from her because of Civil War II, which wasn't a good comic, to be honest, series of stories. But furthermore, you just couldn't really buy her reasoning. Like the first Civil War, Captain America, Iron Man, you could buy both sides.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense, you know. But on that one, it was just an abuse of power. And a lot of people got pissed off at the end result because now it was Iron Man versus Carol Danvers. So it was just like, well.
But in the comic books, she's not as like powerful, right?
No, not nearly. In fact, like the whole like Thanos stuff or whatnot. And again, Kevin Feige did mention this, but he's like, yeah, she's not this strong, but we're making her this sort of powerhouse. I think for what else they have coming. Some of the scenes, because Captain Marvel was shot after Endgame, and when
that's because she had like all the makeup on and the Endgame parts of the Endgame, because she didn't quite know where they were taking that character yet, right?
Right, but if you notice, there are some similarities on certain elements, like when she crashes through Ronan's ship and tears it apart. In Endgame, they did that, but because Captain Marvel came out before that, they had to show that she had the capability of doing that. I still don't agree with it, because I just feel like she just trivializes all threats.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Why do you have even Hawkeye or anyone else around if she can do that, you know?
100%, yeah.
But at the same time, I get why they had it shown, because now it shows, hey, she can do it again. And you're like, okay, cool. Yeah, she can do it again. Still think there's an issue with power scaling on it, but, you know, I'll reserve judgment until I see more films with her in it.
What the hell was up with that haircut?
Which one?
In
Endgame?
Yeah.
That's how she looks in the comics.
Serious?
Yeah, she had her haircut. Yeah.
Oh, it's no good. Looks like Justin Bieber or something.
I mean, I think it looks better in the comics. I think it's just because I'm used to seeing it in the comics more than I am. But
do you read the comics and stuff?
That guy was telling me about the Comics Explain. A lot of times, if I have downtime, yeah, he goes through all that stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anyway, just want to talk a little bit about that in case anybody's looked at or seen it or something.
So essentially, don't.
I wouldn't.